happy Saturday morning, and don't I look amazingly comfortable? Yes, because I refuse to get out of my pajamas today. Yep, not gonna do it. Not gonna do it. Okay, I was working on my painting last night, listening to YouTube. Where's the button? There it is. Do, 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 do. Okay. How am I feeling? Very snotty today. Yeah, so I might have to pause a few times. Like my head just, this thing is just hanging on this cold, man. It's taking me for a little ride. Oh my God, the flavor of coffee today, strawberries, no, not strawberries, cherry jubilee, so good. Just the smell of cherries, oh my goodness, it smells so good. Yum. Not as good as peanut butter, but pretty good. What the heck is going on today? I will be playing Animal Crossing. I was watching, what am I doing here? I was watching Hoarders last night. I don't know why. I've got so many other things I could be watching, but they're like, Hoarders, new episodes. I'm like, oh, let me look. Yeah, I like that show. So, because it kind of grounds me. I'm like, I have to gauge myself against this person, whatever person they're featuring. And I'm like, oh, listen, you don't have to climb anything, a mound of anything to get into my house. So I guess I'm not a hoarder. But I'm looking around and I'm seeing, like, over here is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 20 plus diamond paintings in boxes, plus what I have in the other rooms. You guys have seen that's stuff you guys haven't seen. Yeah. That you've seen the rest of my stash. And yarn, of course, I've got all this yarn, but I am having another giveaway. I'm going to do 2 giveaways this month. And so I'm thinking you should see the looms that are down here. Maybe I'm a little bit of a hoarder when it comes to crafting. Yeah. So I'm watching the show and I'm thinking, oh, I'm going to get up tomorrow and I'm going to organize it all and I'm going to clean and and I get up this morning and I'm like, nah, I'm going to play Animal Crossing. You know what? I can see, you're going to turn on Hoarders one day and there's going to be an episode with Crafting Journey, aka Rebecca Schilling, and there's going to be yarn and diamond paintings piled up around me, and I'm going to be in the middle of it all on this little mattress with some popcorn playing Animal Crossing. Yeah. Guilty. Anyway. If you happen to see that episode, I hope it's entertaining. Oh my goodness. I did go to work yesterday, and I tell you what, I felt lousy the whole time I was there, but I was determined I was going to stay the whole day. I had a nice chat with my boss when I first got there. We needed to have the chat because I had said something the other day that probably was inappropriate, but needed to be said. So we talked about it, about my workload. And everything's fine. We're smoothed out. We're good. We're good. I put all these diamonds in this tray to put down 5 or 6. I could have just done that right out of the container. I think, I have to go to the post office today in between Animal Crossing. I have to go to the post office, mail my box to the winner of the last yarn giveaway. And I think I'm going to run by Harbor Freight and check out those larger containers for that hold more of these small containers. Come on, get out of there. They're just being stubborn. Okay, we're done with that one. So what I try to do is I just put a few that I'm going to use up here on the table. The rest are right here on the floor. I do want to warn you guys that these chairs that we all have, they're a little wobbly. I had one subscriber that tipped over. So just be careful if when you're leaning. I apologize. It's a no bra day. Flip flops, no bra. Yeah. Anyway, when you're leaning over to pick up something, just be careful if you're in one of these chairs. Just a little warning. I mean, I don't work for the company or anything. I like the chair. That's why I said go get the chair. What other color am I doing? I'm going to do that color. Let's find it. I think. It's probably in this box here. I do have this color I need to do. Oh, here's that color. Here's that color. These are all the greens that I'm working on. Over here is all green. All greenery right here that goes into the background. But we're getting there. Yay! We're getting there. I'm so excited. I just can't hide it. All right. I know. I know. You know what? It's National Scrabble. Scrabble? Not Scrabble. Why did I say Scrabble? Solitaire Day. Solitaire. This is the day, May 22nd, that Microsoft, what year was it? I don't even know. May 22nd. I don't know what year. It's not this day in history. This is 2018. No, just for you guys who are going to ask. 2018, Microsoft introduces Solitaire. Now, this is the way that they have of teaching us all, us computers for dummies people, how to work a mouse. But it kind of went viral. People just loved Solitaire. Like, you know, you got these fancy Microsoft computers at work and people were playing Solitaire at their desk. So, no, it was 1990. What did I say before? 2018? Yeah, what? Yeah, 1990. So anyway, this game has been around for over 200 years. And it has been played by 242 million people, over 242 million people. Like, if you've never played Solitaire, please tell me in the comments that you have never played Solitaire, because I can't even imagine someone telling me that they have never played a game of Solitaire. What? I'm sure there's someone out there that applies to, but who? Like, we want to talk to those people. Like, what planet are you from? That you have never played Solitaire. Now, I'm sure there's people out there that haven't, and they're for good reasons. I don't know what those are, but I'm willing to listen. Jake, what's the matter, buddy? He's in the kitchen whining. I don't think he liked his breakfast choices today. Either that or Tootsie ate his breakfast choices. That happens sometimes. Tootsie will just decide, oh, I like this breakfast choice. Let me eat it for you. And then Jake will sit there and whine. Because Jake has to think about things first. You put it in the dish and he just sort of contemplates it. Like, do I want to eat this? Do I not want to eat this? Hi, buddy. Hi, honey. What you doing? What you doing? What is Jake making noise about? Did you eat his breakfast? Tootsie, did you eat Jake's breakfast again? Huh? Did you? Go sit down. See, they're afraid I'm going to go to work. That's the problem. I'm not going to work today. No work today. No. It's lawnmower day. Yeah. You can go to the post office with me today. Yeah, you can. All right, go sit down. Man, I don't feel bad, but I am so congested. What the heck is going on? So I really felt lousy at work yesterday, and I just kept on going. I'm like, nope, I am just going to stay. If it kills me, I'm going to be the last one out of here. I wasn't. I was the next to the last one out there. At 4 o'clock, I'm like, it's 4 o'clock on a Friday, so I start packing up stuff slowly, thinking, okay, this other girl, she's not gonna last. She did, But she had been late for work, so that's probably why she stayed. Anyway, I was like, nope, it's Friday, it's 4:30, I'm out of here. Plus, like I said, I just, you know, felt lousy. So, re mi fa sol la ti do. What am I painting here? Oh, it's the vest of the rabbit. How cute! He's wearing a red vest. How adorable! Oh my God, guys! The other night, I'm laying in bed, and I ordered a couple of diamond paintings. Now, I am not going to tell you anything about them until they get here, because I'm trying something different, and you'll find out when they get here. But I ordered 2 of them. Yeah, so you know, I'm always, you guys monetarily support the channel, so I do buy things for the channel to enhance your enjoyment of the channel, and these 2 diamond paintings I think will do that. They are, one is an Alice, the other one is not, but they are both licensed artwork. And they are not Treasure Studios art, nor are they Diamond Art Club. So I can't wait to see them. Now, I did look at the Diamond Art Club choices for today. I think there's 6 new paintings for today. They have a Josephine wall that is 100 by 70 centimeters of confetti hell. But it's going to be beautiful. If you've got the patience to do a 100 by 70, go for it. I didn't look to see how many colors it was. Probably max colors, but oh, man, that one blew me away. They have a Hannah Lynn, a Halloween Hannah Lynn. That's very cute. I've seen it in coloring books before, that image. And sorry, I'm so congested. And then a couple of other ones, a willowing one that I thought was super cute of a cat. Love the cat. But I couldn't figure out if that was a partial or not. I couldn't figure out. Not that it makes a difference. I would buy it whether it was partial or not. I do have a credit at Diamond Art Club, a $25 credit, but I haven't seen like a piece of artwork that says, oh, Rebecca, you have to have that. When I do, I'll use my $25 credit. Hopefully I don't lose the credit. You know, sometimes if you don't, I don't know. I don't think that applies at Diamond Art Club. Where is the... Calm down. I can't find the... All right, we're just going to put this off to the side because I don't know what I did with the container this came in. Last night I opened up one of the drills, one of these, I took the lid off of one of these trays, and there were green diamonds in there, and I'm like, oh no, and I put all the trays away. Didn't know what color the diamonds were. I figured it out though, luckily. I don't know where the container went for those. This is a different color here. All right, well, let's work on black then. When in doubt, work on the black, right? All right, while we talk about judge, jury, and journey. Oh my God, guys. So this is testimony of the woman that the police officer, female police officer that came in to interview the defendant. He is from Mexico. He's illegally in the country, speaks fluent Spanish, no English, even though he's been here since he was 17. Not a horribly long time, but doesn't appear to have learned a lot of English. So she interviews him for 11 hours. Now, the reason I didn't start talking about it yesterday is because I was very confused about her testimony. And then it finally got cleared up for me why I was confused about the testimony. And I can only imagine that the jurors are confused. And I'll get into that, why that is. But so her name is Pamela Rivera. She takes the stand like the afternoon of day 2 of the trial. and spends all afternoon on the stand and most of the morning of day 3 on the stand. Um, she actually worked for a different law enforcement company, but they kind of, this is a very small county. They don't have the resources to conduct this investigation that they need. They have to use crime scene investigators from the state. They've got every agency that you can imagine involved in this investigation. So where we pick up the story is all of these different agencies have descended on this Jeremy Larrabee Farms, which is the employer of the defendant, because now, and they've done DNA swabs of all of the immigrants. So but they get the employer's permission to interview people, but they're really after this Rivera guy because he's the driver of that vehicle, the Malibu, the Chevy Malibu with the chrome mirrors. So they find him, they bring him into the common room. So they eventually say, let's go down to the police station for an interview. And he's like, oh, okay, well, I'll do that. And his employer says, no, wait, let me call the company attorney for you. And he says, no, actually, one of the officers, the immigration officer on the scene, tells his employer, no, he doesn't need it. He doesn't need your lawyer. And they proceed to take him down to the station for his interview. So the one guy, I don't know, I think he was the gaming officer, when he drives him down to the station. He doesn't speak Spanish, so there's no conversation that occurs on the way to the police department. Drops him off in the lobby. Now, the guy could have left. He could have left, except he had no vehicle. And he had already given the police, yeah, you can search my vehicle. I don't have anything to hide. Go ahead, search my vehicle. So he's already given them permission to search his vehicle. Both vehicles, actually. And so he's just sitting in the lobby hanging out by himself. They drop him off. There's no officers with him. He's just sitting in the lobby. So this Pamela Revere, she comes out and she introduces herself and she says, I'm getting everything ready, and she, nice to meet you. Can I get you anything? Blah, 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 that kind of thing. Trying to make him comfortable. She's very fluent in Spanish. She is from Mexico, has been in this country since she was 10 years old, and actually made a comment that in her own home, she does not allow anyone to speak English, that they only speak Spanish in her home. So very qualified, although, at one point the defense brings out that she's not a certified interpreter. So she goes back, and then she comes out later, and she gets him, and they go back to the interview room. Now, she shows him where all the exits are because he's not under arrest. She claims he's not even a suspect at this point. He's just somebody that they need information from. During the next 11 hours, he is given a sandwich. He's allowed to take frequent breaks. She says they take about 8 or 9 breaks. And during these, and now keep in mind, this poor guy, this defendant, has been at work. He's been doing his 12-hour shift. Then he comes to the police department. He's pretty tired. So during the breaks, you see him, he'll put his head down on the table and he'll fall asleep. Now, we don't get to see the entire interview because it's conducted entirely in Spanish, and we wouldn't, according to Ms. Rivera, we would not be able to understand it because Spanish is spoken very rapidly, and even to interpret this 11-hour interview, it would be daunting. Not to mention the court reporter would probably start crying. So this Ms. Rivera walks us through the interview. Now, she spends the first couple of hours building rapport with the defendant. And we find out he's got family back in Mexico, that he, some brothers and sisters, or a brother and a sister. His parents have passed away. He has a daughter here in this country, but he is working and he does send money back to relatives in Mexico. And he is working under a false identity and a false social security number. And she makes it very clear to him several times at the beginning of the interview, I don't care about your immigration status. I'm here to ask about Mollie Tibbitts, who he claims not to have any knowledge of. I don't know Mollie Tibbitts. He knows that she's missing. He said he even had a flyer of her in the car because they put out flyers. But he says he doesn't know her. But she makes it very clear, we're not here for immigration. So several hours into the interview, about 11:30 that night, she takes a break, and here comes the ICE officers, the immigration officers, who by now have heard, because they're all back, they did ask Ms. Rivera, how many people were involved in this interview? And she says, well, I was the only one interviewing, but there were probably 5 or 6 other people. And when we would take breaks, I would go out and they would feed me information because, keep in mind, in the background now, they are searching his vehicles. So, and at one point, they tell her during one of the breaks, we found some blonde hairs in the trunk of his vehicle. So, she doesn't know if this is true or not, but she's like, oh, okay, well, I'll use it, because you're allowed to lie to suspects to get them during one of these interviews. You're allowed to lie if it helps you to get the truth. Anyway, so whether it's true or not, we don't really know, but she's going to use that information. But anyway, during one of these breaks, in the background are all these officers, like I said, and some of them are immigration officers. So now they've heard that he's using a false name. He's working in this country illegally. He has no papers. So around 11:30 that night, they detain him. And they said, you are formally detained on an immigration hold. So now he's detained. He's not free to leave at this point. So eventually during this interview, he admits that he did see Mollie running that evening, that he was out in his car and he had seen her running. And he says he sees her like 3 or 4 times, because he saw her and then he smiled at her, and then he turned his car around and he went by her again and saw her again. And then he said he just went on his way. He was going to his uncle's house to pick up a vacuum. So then that's his original statement to her. Then later on, so he did say he thought she was attractive, and he mentions that he thinks she's very hot. Oh, sorry about that. Huh. So at some point during the interview, they leave and they go to his residence. They go to his employer, and then they go to his trailer. He lives in a trailer. They go to his trailer. But we don't hear much about that. And then the next thing we are, fast forward, they're sitting in their car next to a cornfield. Like Miss Rivera, there's one other officer that speaks Spanish, and the defendant are sitting in a vehicle by a cornfield. Now, so at this point, I'm thinking, what did I miss? And this is why I didn't talk about this testimony yesterday. I'm like, wait a minute, maybe I missed a whole video or something. So I'm looking for a video that I must have missed, testimony that I missed, because I don't know how they got from, I saw her a couple of times to I'm sitting next to this cornfield, because they didn't talk about what happened at his residence. They don't talk about what happened at his employer or why they were there. Yeah, so next thing we know, they're sitting by this cornfield, and she reads him his rights, the Miranda rights. And then we find out that he tells her, I parked my car. When I saw her running, I parked my car behind her and I started jogging after her. Um, she stopped and she tries to use her cell phone to call the police, and this made him very angry. So at this point, he says they started fighting, and then he blacked out. And when he woke up, she was in his, or he was in his car. Her headphones were between his legs. You know, he was in the driver's seat. Her headphones were between his legs, and all of a sudden he remembered, oh my God, she's in the trunk of my car. So, like, my head is spinning. I'm like, what? What? Okay, so she's in the trunk of my car. So then he says, I drove her to this cornfield where we're at now. And so they literally get him out of the car and he points them towards where the body is. And I'm thinking, what? How did you get to the cornfield? Who told you this body was in the cornfield? Like, you don't hear any of this stuff. And then, so this Officer Rivera says she kept pressing him for more information. You know, what is that all you remember? You know, do you remember? He says he remembers taking her out of the trunk, throwing her over his shoulder. At this point, he said he took his shirt off because it was bloody. He doesn't remember hurting her. He doesn't remember how he did any of this. He throws her over his shoulder. He remembers blood coming from her neck. He takes her into this cornfield, dumps her there, covers her with corn leaves, and then leaves. And that's his testimony. And he's sticking to it. And they keep pressing him. And then his statement to Officer Rivera, and I wrote it down, is, I brought you here, so that means that I did it. I don't know how I did it, but that means I did it, right? You know, like he's asking it in a questioning manner, like, I brought you here, so I guess that means I did it. So apparently he took them to the cornfield, but, you know, we don't. So this is why, ow, I just stabbed myself with the tweezers. So, ow. So this is why I'm so confused. That hurt. This is why I'm so confused. How did we get to the cornfield? You know, when did that happen? So apparently on cross-examination, we find out that this, you know, blood coming from the neck is not consistent with her injuries. Now, I'm going to tell you, I did not research this case. I don't know how she died. And there has been no testimony to this point about the mechanism of her death. So I don't know if she was stabbed or shot. I have no idea. So, but apparently it had nothing to do with her neck. But, you know, that's his testimony, that she had blood coming from her neck area. So then the defense cross-examines Officer Rivera and says, you know, did you ever have any training in false confessions? No, a little, you know, she only had 16 hours of training on how to interview a suspect. And within there, they might have mentioned false confessions, but not to the point where she can tell a jury what a false confession is. And seems very intent on getting Ms. Rivera to admit that this suspect was very tired. And she just wouldn't do it. She said, you know, he was very clear on his responses. You know, yes, he may have been sleeping during the breaks, but when I didn't get the impression that he didn't understand my questions and that he wasn't giving us appropriate answers. So then we find out during a recess some information. Now, I'm going to tell you guys this information, but keep in mind, this is stuff that I didn't know, and the jury will never know. Or maybe they will. It depends. So apparently prior to this trial starting, there was a motion to suppress certain statements made by the defendant because he was not properly Mirandized. He wasn't read his Miranda rights. So at some point during this 11-hour interview, he went from being somebody we're just interested in and want to talk to becoming a suspect, at which point they probably should have read him his rights, and they did not. Meanwhile, they go to Larrabee Farms, and the defendant directs them from the farm to like turn by turn directions in the dark to this cornfield where he says he put her body. So officers go out there, they can't find the body, so they take the defendant out of the vehicle, handcuff him on the side of the road, and he shows them where the body is. But because he hadn't been given his Miranda rights before any of this, it all got suppressed. So the jury is not going to hear that he gave them turn-by-turn directions in the dark to the cornfield and to the body. What? Yeah. I'm like, now it makes sense. All this stuff that he was saying, apparently all this confession stuff is being kept out because they didn't read him his Miranda warnings. So at this point during the recess, the prosecution is arguing to the judge that because the defense is making this false confession argument, that the prosecution should be allowed to now bring in this evidence to rebut the fact that this is a false confession based on the fact that he was tired. So he gave this, false confession. And their theory is that how could he have been tired if he's giving them turn-by-turn directions in the dark? So the judge says, I'm going to keep these statements suppressed at this point in the trial, but tells the defense, be careful, because if you open the door, I'm going to let this testimony come in. So it may come in before this trial is over, or it may not. So I can't imagine, I have to imagine that the jury is very confused, as I was, about how the heck you got to the cornfield. Who told you that body was in the cornfield? Yeah. So the jury's not going to know this at this point. They're not going to know that the defendant gave them the directions to this cornfield. So I think that is super interesting. No, instead the defense is going to want the jury to believe that he was so tired that anything that he said was just because he was tired and he wanted to go home and go to sleep. I don't know. Anyway, so that's where I'm going to end it today. Monday, I'm going to tell you about the rest of day 3, which is the crime scene investigator testimony. The woman that went through the vehicles, went through his trailer, and went to the body with the medical examiner and what they found in the cornfield. So we'll talk about all that tomorrow, or Monday morning. Tomorrow is my live. That's Sunday. It's Mornings with Crafting Journey live, Sunday morning, 11 Central. And I'm so excited. My grandson's graduating from high school tomorrow at 4:30. On the football field. That's where I graduated, on the football field. Isn't that how it's supposed to be done? This is how we do it. Anyway, I didn't get a lot of diamond painting done, did I? I got some done. So we can talk about this day in history because we don't want to miss it. So on this day in history, they catch the Atlanta child murderer. Let me pull this up. The Atlanta child murderer. I want to give you a year. Now, for you guys in other countries, Atlanta is Georgia. Atlanta, Georgia. If you know Crystal's Crafty Creations, she lives in Georgia. So in Atlanta, Georgia, they find out that they there's a serial killer, and he is killing children. He has killed 29 black children or young men. And what that happens is on each of the bodies, they find this weird fiber. So they're trying to identify this fiber, but it's publicized that they're trying to identify this weird fiber that they find at all these crime scenes. So now the defendant knows, oh my God, they're looking for me. They're finding these fibers. So he starts throwing his victims into the Chattanooga River. So the police stake out the Chattanooga River, and one night they see this guy throw a body into the river. They see the guy jumping into the river. So they arrest him, and then the next day they find a body in the river. So now he's a major suspect in all of these killings of these children. But here's how they narrowed it down, this fiber, to this rare carpet. Only like 6 people in the entire town had this carpet. And it was, in fact, in the defendant's home, this carpet. It was sold by the Georgia Carpet Company, West Point Pepperell, and it was a line called Lux Air. The color of the fibers found on the bodies matched Lux Air English Olive, which was the same type of carpet that the defendant had in his home. And that is how he got convicted, because of this fiber in his carpet. And plus, they could argue that once he was in custody, the murders stopped. Hey, big clue right there. Then there was later some theories. He was convicted of the murder of 2 people, 2 of the victims. They never tried him for like the other 22 of the cases. They just closed them. Then there was like this theory that it wasn't him. He was being set up by the KKK, the Ku Klux Klan. So they reopened like 5 of the cases to see if that was possible, that it wasn't this Williams guy, it was the KKK. And they did a little research and they reclosed them, and they said no KKK involvement. It was Wayne Williams who had committed these murders. So that is this day in history. He was caught on May 22nd, 1981. 81. You know what happened in 81? My son was only 1 year old. I was 21 years old in 1981. What? I was young at one point. Yeah. So guys, that is the Saturday edition of the morning show. Jammies and all. Woohoo! We won't do a lot of dancing because I've already stabbed myself in the boob. You don't want to see them flopping around. Okay. So I know some of you are watching the trial, and that's awesome. But remember, we don't always see the same thing. That's why we have multiple jurors. But I'm happy for you to point out things that I may have missed that you feel might be important, because that's what happens when a jury goes back and deliberates. Some people hear different things that they feel are important. I think it's important, like, how did you get to the cornfield? And I have learned a whole new phrase. The corn is up. The corn is up. Apparently that's what they say when the corn stalks are really high and you can't see over them. Corn is up. Never heard of it. I'm not from Idaho. So have a great Saturday, guys. Enjoy your weekend. No hoarding. No hoarding. And make sure you tune in to watch the show Dickinson, because Crashly and I are going to do our TV time with Crashly and Crafting Journey in her live segment at 6 p.m. Central tomorrow night. So I will see you guys later. Love you all. Bye.